For this pattern I'm using a size 14 Ahrex dry fly traditional hook. I like to use dry fly hooks for my nymphs simply because I like to fish the nymph as a point fly on a free fly cast with 2 spiders as the top and middle dropper. I don't want the nymph to sink too deep in the water column and force my 2 spiders to go too deep. I literally want all 3 flies to be in the top foot or so of the water column. That's why I like to use a lightweight dry fly hook. The thread I'm using is an 8/0 olive uni thread, and you simply come in directly behind the eye and trap that thread down with 6 or 7 nice tight turns. Soft Goose shoulder herl. This one's an olive. And what you do is you take out about 7 strands from the initial feather and then just try and equal the tips up a little bit. Like so. And now we mount this herl directly on top of the hook. And we've got to really judge how long our tail fibres are going to be. So we just come in with a couple of soft wraps. And if your tails are too long, just start to pull the herl forwards towards the eye bit and shorten those tails. Something like that. Once the tail fibres are mounted in, and now come in with my fine gold wire. This is a legatum fine gold wire. Now bring in your tying thread, trap that down with 3 or 4 nice tight turns of thread. Snip off your waist end of herl. And bring your olive thread in tight touching turns down the hook shank to a point more or less opposite where the end of the barb would be. Somewhere about there. And now for the body, I again take out a small amount of soft goose shoulder herl. 6 or 7 fibres will do nicely. And now with a couple of tight turns of thread, I mount them in right at the back of the nymph. Then bring in your tying thread, work your way back up the body of the fly. If you've got a few fibres like that, just come in with your scissors and just trim them off out of the way. There we go. Now taking your herl in your fingers, try not to twist it as much. Try to get it in nice flat wraps and bring that herl back up the body. Just about there. Now taking your thread, catch it in with 3 or 4 nice tight turns and just trim off the waist end. Now start to form your rib with your fine gold wire and bring it up the body in nice symmetrical turns. It's up to you how many ribs you want. I normally go for about 7. Then bring his rib to there, come in with his thread and trap it down with 3 or 4 nice turns. You can fret your gold wire off if you want. I've got a blunt pair of old scissors, so I'll just cut this off. And now for the Wingcase, I like to use a bit of Flexibody. This is an olive Flexibody, and I've just darkened one side of it with a black Pantone pen. Place that Flexibody on top of the nymph and trap it down with several nice tight turns of thread. Bring your thread back down the hook shank, and now try to just judge the size of your wing case. Round about there is where I like it. Now for the thorax, I'm taking a bit of rabbit fur dyed a dark olive, and just simply dub that onto my thread. And now come in and start to form your thorax there. You'll have one or two stray fibres you can just pick out or cut off if you want. And now we come to the legs. I like to use a partridge neck hackle. You can dye them olive if you want or mark them with a pen, but I just like to keep them intact as they are, like so. Now come in and start to just stroke back those hackle fibres to expose a tip, just like that. Similar to how we would do if we were mounting a soft hackle fly. Take your scissors and just cut off that tip. And then brush back the fibres so you end up with that pronounced V at the front of the feather. And now stroke those fibres back and just judge how many you want in your nymph, how many legs that would form. Strip off the excess ones and you're left with something like that. And now we're going to mount it onto the fly simply with a V pointing backwards. So just put the hackle on top of your thorax with your thumb and just trap it down with two really loose turns of thread. Simply just pull it forward a bit till you got the right length of legs. Come in with your bodkin, find that V again, and simply bring your Flexibody down into that V. And pull it quite tight, like so. Now take your tying silk, trap it down with two nice firm wraps of thread. Cut off the excess wing case. Cut off the butt end of your hackle. And now place a couple of tight turns of thread and come in with a whip finish. And pull it tight. Now if you've got any stray fibres or anything, you can just pluck them out or come in with your scissors and tidy the fly up. I like to put a drop of fly tying varnish on top of my wing case. Got a loose fibre there, I'll just chop him off. And now just come in with a bit of waste feather and clean the eye of the hook. And there it's starting to look the part. One or two fibres I can just pull out. And then come in with your bodkin and just tease out a few of those fibres. Straighten up the tail, and there you've got the Spring Olive Nymph.